Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Get Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Brennan Wiersma. Today I have here Sherri Balyoz, a friend of mine and someone I've been able to learn from over the past few months. So I'm really excited to share some of that knowledge because I know you've been able to do a lot and been pretty successful. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
So I guess let's just start off with, how did you get started investing and where'd that start at? Yeah.
We started investing 16 years ago. We had just gotten married and Paul had a home. My husband and I invest together, and I had a home. And he had an extra house then. So it was right at the peak of the last bubble that we had, 2005. And he sold that house and we turned around and he decided he wanted to get into real estate. He started stock market investing, and basically it was my husband's idea, and we just shot off from there. We sold his home and then invested in a fourplex, and we've gone on from there. We started going to real estate meetings and learning a lot of things.
That's awesome. So did you go into it with the mindset of I want to be a real estate investor, or was it more of just you bought a property and it kind of turned into one, or what did that first deal look like?
We both had good paying jobs. I'm a nurse and he's a software developer engineer, and he could see that basically there's no retirement plans anymore, and that we would need more money than just a 401k. And so that drove us, and we knew someday we wanted to be out of the rat race. By that time, we had started playing the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow game, and that really started changing our thoughts about money and how we think about money and how we spend our money and what makes you money. Because we were both raised middle class, and it was work until you're 65. And then you retire on the pensions. Well, there aren't any pensions anymore, and so things are a lot different than they used to be.
Yeah, that's something that's been so big for me, especially just doing this podcast. I get to talk to people like you who have this different way of thinking, and it's almost like there's just this whole new world of opportunity when you can just start looking at things a little bit in a different way. It's more of, as a how can I make money off of this, rather than, the mindset of more of just like that standard 9-to-5 job. Not that that's bad, but it's just, I think it can limit your view sometimes. So yeah, that's really cool. I definitely want to get into more of that a little bit. So as far as real estate investing, is it something you enjoy? Is it like a hobby for you, or is this strictly just an investment vehicle? And yeah, I guess what's your favorite part about real estate?
I love real estate. It's a passion. After the first one or two, it just became a real passion. We bought it was during the crash. We bought a property and we were going to make it another rental, and the market hit just right, and I started flipping. And at that time, I was making about $75,000 a year, and in 6 months, I made $50,000 doing 3 different flips, and successfully doing the flips. And it was like, and that just rocketed me. I had burnt out of my nursing job, which I've done several times, and then I turned over to real estate. The hardest was, leaving that steady, secure job for real estate. But we did have my husband's income and his insurance, so we were able to do that. And there were times that we didn't make a lot of money, and I had to go back to nursing, which was fine. But boy, did we gain a lot of experience from doing it. And I flipped houses out of state. We invest out of state. We have some rentals out of state. And we just meet really cool people along the way, and they're willing to share what they did, because you're not a competitor, you're just a fellow investor, so it's not a me thing. It's got to be win-win, so then you build your circle even bigger. And what you were talking about earlier was the way you think about money. And I heard somebody say this before, and now I really get it. And this is the way I think about things. If I had $50,000 and I needed a new car, before I would have taken that $50,000 and bought a new car. Now I would take the $50,000, buy an investment property that would pay the payments on that new car. Because in the 5 years, the car is going to be paid off, and I'm still going to have the investment property producing and chugging away, as well as tax breaks from it, and I'm building the passive income.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. And I mean, it seems simple, but I mean, that's a huge advantage if you can just do that one shift in mindset, because the $50,000, it's more than just that. It's an avenue that can bring in, that you can keep, then it can grow. It's like Robert Kiyosaki, how you were saying you did some of his stuff. I like his analogy of each dollar is a little worker for you. That kind of sums that up pretty well. So that's awesome.
Yep, make your money work for you. And we're actually retiring this year, well before 65. So we're really quite thrilled about that.
Congratulations, man. That's got to be such a good feeling.
It is. It's a wonderful feeling. And one of your questions was, what's your why? And my why is because I want to be free. I want to be free. I don't want to have to wake up and go somewhere or be somewhere unless it's my stuff that I need to be at. I worked for many, many years, and you're always working for somebody else, which I needed to work for all those years for the insurance, for the income, for a lot of different things. But to get to the point where you have to do things a lot of times that are ridiculous and pushed and pushed and pushed, and you have to deal with personalities that you normally really wouldn't deal with, and that's just, when it's your own business, it's your own business. So if I'm working 12 hours a day, I'm working for my business, or not. It's like, I could do that tomorrow. You get to that point. So
yeah, it's like a different way of looking at retirement too, because when people think, oh, I'm going to reach 65 and then I can just stay at home all day, like people that are able to create a business or a life for themselves that they have the option to retire from, like you're saying, like usually that's not going to be the case where you just sit around and watch the time go by. You're going to be doing things for yourself rather than someone else. It's like, it's retirement because you're not working for somebody else, but you're also still just doing things that you want to do. And real estate, do you think that's going to be something you continue to do into retirement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you have a lot of properties, there's a lot of things to manage. So yes, we're retiring from our W-2 jobs. That's what I always call them, is W-2 jobs. But we still have to manage the business. I mean, even if you have a management company, you need to manage the management company. That type of thing. And you're always having to look at the numbers. There's always some type of business license to take care of, or what have you. There's always something to take care of, and that's a neat part of it. I'm working for myself, and I can do it anywhere. As a matter of fact, this year we just got back from a month's vacation. We took the month of July off this year, and we got out of the heat because we live in Phoenix, and we were in Seattle, and then drove down through California and came home. So that's one of the things that we saw other investors do, and we thought, oh, we'd never be able to do that, and here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy, just one block at a time, and then eventually you turn around and you've built the entire portfolio, and you get to be in a spot where you guys are at. And I mean, that's so cool. I think everyone should be in some form or another. Maybe it's not real estate, but working to be in a spot where you can kind of just think for yourself and take a month off and go to Seattle and do things like that. So that's
we worked.
Yeah, you worked hard. And
we worked while we were in Seattle too.
Okay.
I was on the real estate stuff. As a matter of fact, we had a mobile notary come to our VRBO where we were staying to sign off on some papers, because we refinanced one of the properties we just purchased, because the interest rates are so low right now. So we picked
Take
up
advantage.
a couple more rental properties to build our portfolio. And we don't usually like to buy with mortgages. We did in the beginning, but the interest rates are so low right now that, and we know the prices are going up. So it was a speculative thing and we're still making money.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? How, as far as investing right now, where the advantages and disadvantages is for a beginner, maybe getting in with these interest rates versus property value? Do you have any insight on, do you think it's like a good time, or in between? Where you at with that?
The market, somebody taught me this in the beginning, the market changes every 3 months. And actually now it's changing every month. I mean, it's rapidly growing. And you really have to keep your finger on the pulse when you're doing things, especially if you're flipping, if you're holding. You really need to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in your market, what's going on in the area that you're purchasing in, and what's your end game plan. Are you buying this property to flip? Are you buying this property to hold? Are you buying this property to wholesale? And really it all depends on the numbers. It all boils down to the numbers. And really, when I'm looking at it now, when I'm thinking about it now, we just did a flip down in Tucson. We didn't mean to do a flip. We were going to keep it as one of our rentals, but the market was just going up, 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 up. And I said to my husband, I says, do you realize that if we sold and flipped this house, I said, we could pay off of all of our cars and the little bit of debt we had. And we both lit up. We're like, okay, let's do it. And, and now we're able to retire. So, I mean, it's all about the numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy when you're in the real estate space, like you guys are, compared to the 9 to 5, how just one deal can be such a different magnitude, rather than a couple dollar an hour raise. You just trained one deal. Okay, now I'm not going to hold it, I'm going to flip it, and you make however much money off that, which would be how much you would make possibly in your 9 to 5, and who knows how long.
I think we made 63,000 on that property. Is what we made on that flip.
Which
so
is
that was a good one.
One deal can change everything. And I was talking to another investor in Phoenix. His name's Steve Trang. He was telling me, I was asking him about deals, if he had any he was excited about. And he just casually says, "Oh yeah, we're probably going to make 200 on this one we're working on." Like, it's just no big deal. I mean, he said it was kind of like a home run, but still, it's, if you keep doing it every once in a while, just one deal, it seems like, can just change everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially if you're going into new areas, you're building your team there, and and broadening your horizons. And one of the things for new investors, that was one of the questions, is go to the RIAs. I mean, we're in Arizona, so we've got ASRIA here in Phoenix, and it's a wealth of information, and you'll find people that are the real deal there, and you get a lot of classes, and a lot of connections, and hang out with like-minded people, hang out with the people that have what you want, and ask them how they did it, because I remember when we first had one of our first rentals, we were just getting into it, and I said to one of my family members, said, because I was saying, oh, I got to go up and work on the house or do something on this house. And they said, oh, I'd never do that. I wouldn't want to be a rental owner. Oh my goodness, blah, 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 blah. And I turned around and I looked at her and I said, we bring in $1,000 a month on that property. She got real quiet, and you know what? They started buying houses after that. So you really have to change your way of thinking, and hang with the people that do it right.
Yeah, and you can just work things into your number. If you don't like being a landlord, then work that in to have someone else do it. Just find the number that's going to make it work, and then fit yourself into it that way, right? Like, I think that's a misconception people have, is that you have to be a landlord and deal with tenants all the time and manage all these things. Where, and people like you, I imagine at a certain point you get so good at it and you've done it enough times where it's not going to be that there's not going to be too many things that are stressful, right? Or what's your view on that?
After doing it for 16 years, I'm ready to have a management company on it, on a lot of our properties, which we do, the ones out of state and the ones out of town we do. The other ones in town here that we do manage ourselves. But now we're starting to have a management company place the tenants for us, which before I did that. Reason being is I can't quite keep up with all of the new laws and regulations and things like that. And I don't want to do something wrong and get sued, for any type of discrimination or whatever. So at this point, we're pretty much letting management company put people in, especially we've got one out in Peoria that's a 55 plus. And I'm having a little bit more of a harder time renting that one out because it's a 55 plus. So I turn that one over to a management company. But we get people all the time from our past rentals, when they move in, they move out, they call me back a couple of years later and say, hey, Sherri, you got anything? So I mean, I've got a list of people to call too when things open up. And well, they're not 55, so they can't fit into that. But you do have to manage the management company. So
yeah. So where has your business grown to? Like what does it consist of? Are you just buying rentals? Are you still doing flips? What are you guys doing?
Well, we started out with a rental. We've done flips. We have holds. We've done hard money. And we're currently doing some crowdfunding with a group that we met through the ASRIA called Neighborhood Ventures, and done well with the crowdfunding on that property, which is hands-off investing. We've used as far as people always ask you, where do you get the money for all this? Well, we save money for one thing, but the other way we get money for investing is through our 401ks, because you can do self-directed 401ks and self-directed IRAs and buy the properties in those vessels, in those vehicles. And we've been able to do that and done very well on those. We picked up one or two during the last crash, and then because they were cheap at that time, we bought them for cash in the IRA. We turn around and look, and it's like, hey, we've got enough money for a down payment on another one, and then you are able to get loans. They're called non-recourse loans on self-directed IRAs and 401ks. So we were able to do that, and it just really snowballs. It really does. And as inflation goes up, the rents go up. So what seemed like a really skinny spread in the beginning now is a huge spread. Like now, one of the properties we bought in, was it 14 or 16, 2014 or 2016. We, I think the rent was $1,000 a month. Now, the tenant's been in there for 3 years. They're paying $1,500 a month. The rent's going to go up to like $17 or $17.50 because the going rent is like $18.50 a month. So, it's going up, 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 up.
Holy smokes, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you build that into your deals when you're analyzing a property? Maybe it's right now it's not exactly where you'd want it to be, but you can see that in this amount of time you could have this value. Are you building that into your numbers, or are you just focusing on right now?
Right now, yes, we did. We just picked up 2 down in Tucson that were skinnier than we like. But we know, because we go to the RIAs, we know what's happening. You have to know what's going on in the area that you're investing in. We know that Phoenix is growing. We know that millions of people are moving here. We know that jobs are moving here, and this place is exploding. And that's going to, trickle down to Tucson also, because more employers are moving down there also.
Yeah.
And so we picked up some houses down there that are a little skinnier now, but the rents are going up. They fall behind Phoenix just a little bit, and the rents are going up there just like they're going up here.
Arizona is such a crazy market, just from the little experience I've had trying to find deals. it's, you know, anything on the MLS is getting 50,000 above mark what they're asking. And where do your deals come from, at least in Arizona? What do you do for these leads?
The land, that's interesting that you say that. The last, well, I had 3 recently in the last year down in Tucson. That's where I picked some up. One was from a friend that I got a wholesale deal from. It was a distressed estate sale that we picked up. And the next 2, one was I got it off MLS, actually, is where I picked it up off MLS. And what was really interesting was I've got a really good realtor. And that's really important to have a good team and have a good realtor. A good realtor can make or break a deal and can really get things going for you because they've got a lot of resources. And I've got a really good realtor down there. And I went and put an offer in on this home, and somebody else they had given it to somebody else. But we kept it as backup. My realtor connected with the other realtor, and they were talking. So she says, yeah, but you know what? This investor wants to sell some of our other properties. I got another one over here. Why don't you come over here and take a look at this one? I haven't put it on the market yet. It's going to get on the market. I'll give you first dibs on it, whatever, you know. So we went in and took a look at it. We walked up to the property, and she said, and here you go. She handed her 5 other properties that were not on the market yet, that were going to be going on the market. She handed her 5 off-market properties, you know, that they were going to be going on the market. We got another one under contract. They did end up going on the market. We got another one under contract, let that one go, because the first one that I was back up on, that one fell through, and we took that one because it was a better deal. It was a 3-2 with a 2-car garage, a little stucco built in 2000, you know, 2000s, you know, the typical stucco 3-2 Arizona. And the other one was a 2-2 condo kind of thing, townhome type of thing. So, you know, I knew the rents would be lower there. And, you know, that the appreciation on the other one would be much higher.
Wow. So that's just being in the network and having people that are finding deals and being, you know, showing that you're valuable to them. You're going to close deals. You probably built up a reputation. So that just shows how, like you were saying, getting in those REIA groups and building those relationships is important, because it sounds like you've gotten some deals from that.
I did. And as a matter of fact, we met them through going down to the Tucson ASREA. You know, we started talking to them down there and you know, meeting that, and that's how I met them, you know, is through that. And, you know, like the next time, if I'm looking for another property down in Tucson, I'll just say, you know, hey, call up that realtor, see if they have any other properties that they want to get rid of, that they're, you know, that they're going to let go. So it's interesting. It's really a fun business.
Yeah.
And you're wondering how we finance our deals? That's probably the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is like in a market like now, where everything's hot, you know, and everything's going for over market price, that type of thing. You really need to buy for cash. You really need to buy cash, because cash is king. You know, I mean, as a seller, when I'm selling one of my properties, I'll always take the cash offer. You know, if it's right up there, as opposed to somebody that's got an FHA loan that's going to have to appraise, because if the property doesn't appraise, what's going to happen? You know, it's going to fall out. Not only that, it's going to take 6 weeks to close. So, you know, cash, thank you very much. You're done in what, 2 weeks, whatever it takes, you know, you're done. However long you do it. So anyways, how we do this is, well, some of it is saved money. We've used hard money. And that was one of the things that I learned as a middle-class person. Oh my God, paying 10% interest? No way. Well, that 10% interest, you know, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to refinance these properties. So I'm only going to do that for a couple months. So that's how I got a couple of these, is I bought them with hard money. And it's a hard money guide that I've used before, that I got through one of my other contracts that I've used before, and worked with him many, many times. So he's like, okay, Sherri, yeah, no problem. You know, I'll have the money there for you tomorrow, you know, or give me a couple of days so I can set things up. So that's the way we did that, those last 2. And And now I'm refinancing them and getting 3.5% as long as they appraise. First one didn't appraise as much as I wanted it to, but that's okay. The money's still there because when we did the spreadsheets on it, we do it for the higher amount, the higher interest rate, and then also go with the lower amount of rent that you then below market rents when I'm doing the spreadsheet, so that you've got some flexibility, some move in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we do that. We've taken HELOCs out on our own personal property, as well as our rental properties. We get HELOCs on those. If you have any rental properties that have any equity in them, we had some that were cash properties, so we were able to grab, a lot of equity out of those, and then use that to buy cash, and then turn around and finance it. Let's see, hard money, cash. Yeah, that's about it. That's how we. Oh, and some of the repairs on the flips, we've used credit cards. And you pay them off. Just pay it off when you turn around and sell it.
Yeah, that's so cool because you guys have done it in so many different ways. So that just shows that there really are so many different ways to get involved, or at least start. I mean, some of them have a little bit higher barrier to entry, right? If you're going to just take a wheelbarrow of cash and bring it to someone, that's going to, maybe you have to save up if you're just starting out. But other things, like you said, like the home equity line of credit, the private money, hard money, those are all great tools, I think. And you're an example of, you can use all those and it works. So that's awesome. What goes into finding a good deal? Like, how do you run your numbers? Are you looking for a certain cap rate? Are you looking for, a certain return on investment?
Yeah, cash flow. My husband's an engineer, so he's got a spreadsheet for everything. Everything. It's wonderful. Yeah. It really is. And he's got it all figured out. And we have to make at least $400 a month cash flow on a property minimum, to purchase the property. We like over 10% ROI, return on investment, on our properties. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. It's usually pretty close on it. Awesome. The properties that we just purchased down in Tucson, one of the ones we're going to do is, we are doing, basically we bought a property for nothing. We have a family member that's going to go in with us, brought in the down payment. We can get the mortgage. So we did that, or we're in the process. It hasn't closed yet. So they're bringing in the money for the down payment. We brought it in, and they're gonna, get it to us. And then, we split out the profits of the property. So basically, we got one for nothing. We bought a property for nothing. Somebody else's money. I mean, it's our, all our money, but yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Do you think of equity as almost just like a cherry on top if you have a property that's cash flowing $400 a month? Like, if equity goes up and down, are you really concerned about it, or how do you view that? Seems like almost extra if you're making cash flow no matter what, right?
Well, it kind of depends on where you're at. Of course, it's the cherry on top. Of course, you want it to go up. Some people just invest that way, which I don't. We don't. I mean, it has to make money. Otherwise, I'll put it in a mutual fund, which I don't do. Yeah, it has to cash flow. Otherwise, it's not worth my time and my energy. It has to cash flow, and then it's eventually going to go up. And even if it doesn't go up, and say the values of the properties drop, I'm still cash flowing on the property. So who cares? Okay.
Yeah. I think people get worried about that. Oh, what if the value of your properties drop? But it's like, so what? I'd still get paid. That's what, Yeah,
I don't care. It's like, yeah. I mean, that's got to be a big recession for that to happen.
Right.
And the rents could go down. So that's why you have to set. It's all about the numbers and set your limits to like ours is $400 a month. We have to make at least $400 a month on a property, and that's after putting some in reserves, because you have to have reserves for when the AC goes out, when this goes out, when that goes out. You have to have all those reserves. ready for them, so that, you know, if there is a downturn and, you know, the rents go down $100 a month, you've got that cushion. So I don't make $400 a month, I make $300 a month now. Okay.
Yeah. Is it ever likely for it to drop like a couple $100? Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I have. Yeah, during the last crash. Yeah. In 2000, whatever that, 7, 5, 7, 9, right in there. Yeah, they did. They did go down. They did
Wow.
crash. Mhm.
So you
And, you
think,
know, we had, you know, we've had successes and we've had losses too over the last 16 years. I can't say that it's all been gravy. You know, it hasn't. You know, we've had some losses. As a matter of fact, that first property that we bought was a short sale. Ended up in a short sale because we bought high, and well, it even went higher than that. And then the market crashed. And it was a series of fourplexes. There was like 8 on one side of the street, 8 on the other side of the street. Well, ours was, I don't even know what the rents were then, say $900 a month for a 2-bedroom. Well, people started short selling their places, and I think we short sold it. I think we bought it for 400 and we short sold it for 175. Ouch. And so those people across the street were picking them up for 175,000, going in because they had the cash, and completely remodeling the units and then renting it out for 750 a month. You know what I mean? So that, you know, it really pushed us into the short sale because we couldn't compete with that. So yes, I have seen them go down, but, you know, now 16 years later, you know, everything's exploded again.
yeah, and I think some people would like hear that and think, if it were to happen to them, oh no, it's the end of the world, and you know, it didn't work out. I guess real estate's not for me, and they think that for some reason that's the end of everything. But if you look at you guys, you learned from it obviously, and now 16 years or whatever it's been later, you're doing very well in real estate. What do you think stops most people? Is it that fear of just failure and then giving up, or why don't people invest in real estate?
Yeah, I think it's fear, you know, and you know, old ideas, you know, I really do. I think it's fear, you know, and you know, some people, maybe it's not for them. It's for us. It was worked out quite well for us. But it, you know, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of learning from your mistakes and not quitting, you know, keep going, keep trying. Okay, that one didn't work, and do postmortems. You know, that one didn't work. Why didn't it work? You know what I mean? And we learned why it didn't work. I mean, we later went back and did numbers on that. We're like, oh my gosh, it was a terrible deal. We shouldn't have done that. You know, we should have sold it a lot sooner than we did. We wouldn't have had to short sale it. But you know, that it really all worked out in the end, because we were terrified. We're like, oh my gosh, a short sale. You know, neither one of us have ever had anything bad on our credit, you know. But here's the thing. So did the rest of America. So 2 years later, we were back out there buying again, you know, so.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a lot of investors were also made in 2008 or in that area, because you know, you get all these discounted properties. Basically, they're all on sale, and you know, people that are thinking in that different way, they see it as an opportunity, not that, you know, everything's gonna be over.
Right. And you know, one of the things I can say is, if this is where you want to be, you know, like if you want to retire at X amount, or you can, you know, at a certain age or X amount of dollars, you know, figure out what that number is. Figure out what that number is, and then set a goal to, okay, I'm trying to make X amount of dollars a month, you know, passive income, whatever it is, $15,000 a month passive income. Okay, so this month, you know, this year we're only making 10,000. So next year I want to retire in 3 years or whatever it is. So this year I need to make $1,500 or more a month cash flow. So that's my goal for this year. And then I set a goal, a realistic goal, we do, and then we set a stretch goal, you know, and then the next year and the next year and the next year. And somehow it works out. We get to it every year. We also run a vacation rental too. And that one's above our home, and that's been a nice little, it's been a good income for us.
So would that be like an Airbnb, or how do you guys do that?
Yeah, it's an Airbnb. The home that we purchased it was 2 stories, and the upstairs had a second master bedroom with a master bath, and it had a big closet. Well, I blew out the closet, and it turned out the piping, the water was right above the washer and dryer, so we were able to tap into that, made a little bar kitchen there, and then blew a hole in the wall in the garage so that there was a separate entrance to the property up the stairs. So yeah, we ran it for 5 years, and then COVID hit and shut it down, and now we just opened it up again. We did quite well on that also. We still are. Now I'm just running a vacation rental is a lot of work. You make a lot of money on them, but it's a lot of work. So now now that we're wanting to retire and travel more, I'm just doing it as a monthly short-term rental, and it's working out great. Here we go again.
So I haven't looked into that much as far as the differences between a vacation rental and just a buy and hold rental month to month or yearly type of thing. What's that spread difference like? Do you make a lot more if it's an Airbnb?
Oh yeah, a lot more. I mean, think about, $150 a night, $150 a night. If you've got a 2-bedroom house, depending on what it is, you can get $250 a night, that type of thing. But, then again, you've got to look at, you got to balance, because the taxes are a lot higher because you're under hotel tax now. But a lot of that gets sent over to the person that's renting the unit. And you got to keep it pristine, and you have to have backup people. You have to be on top of it, because if your cleaning lady doesn't show up, your cleaning people don't show up, you better have a backup. And sometimes, one's leaving and another one's coming in, what I mean? It's a really short window. So you better have, backup people. I've cleaned that unit many times, on my lunch hour when I was working full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you just see a property in a good area and think, okay, this one might be better as an Airbnb than a different type of rental?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I looked at, as a matter of fact, one of my little rentals in Gilbert, I was thinking, geez, that would be a really nice Airbnb. But I'm thinking, I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah, that's cool. So it seems like in real estate, there's almost the upside and the downside is that there's so many ways to get involved in real estate, right? Like it's a curse and a blessing that you can do everything, right? Because then you almost have this analysis paralysis where you don't know where to start. What would you say to someone who's listening to this and hasn't really thought about real estate before, but might want to get started? Where would you direct somebody to get started?
Well, find your niche, find what it is that you like to do. And, you can only do that by doing it. Like for Paul and I, we don't like wholesaling. That's not for us. And, but, we have a lot of rental properties. We know how to do that, and another thing for new people is get some mentors. We've had mentors along the way, people that have been very successful that'll sit down and talk to us and say, this is how you do it, or we'll show them what we got. This is what we got. And they're like, they'll give us another idea. Oh yeah, you can do this. You can take a HELOC out of your rental property, and that's, we just sat down and met with someone. We bought them dinner and that's all it took, and so we're off to the races. So get mentors. I think I got off the track. What was the question?
I was just at first, I think that answered it perfectly. Is what would you tell someone who's just starting? Where would you direct them? So
that's what I would direct them. Have mentors, and then meet with them once a year, to see where you are, show them your progress of what you've gotten to. As a matter of fact, this year we went to one of our mentors and said, Paul wants to stop. Paul wants to retire. It's time to retire. We didn't plan on this for 3 years. So he sat down with us and said, where are you at? Where do you need to be? Like, okay, this is where we need to be. We're only this far off, right? So how can you get that right now? I said, he goes, there's still deals out there. He goes, yeah, there's not very many. Yeah, he goes, the market is slim, but there's more deals going on now than ever before. So then, I picked up the 2 down in Tucson, and we were able to shift some things around, move some things out of our 401k, move some of the properties out of our 401k. We don't have to wait till we're 59 and a half. We have to pay the taxes on it. Of course, we had the talk with our accountant, how are we going to cover this if we take these properties out of the IRA, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So, our mentors were the ones that helped us along the way and showed us different things when we didn't have the ideas for it.
Yeah, that's so important. That's really good. One of the things I wanted to talk about that you mentioned is your out-of-state investing.
Yeah.
How have you guys gotten into that and been able to manage them? And what's your process for investing out of state?
Well, we've got 2 different, we've got some holds out of state, and then I've done flips out of state in 1 or 2 different states. And how I did that was when I went to flip those other properties out of state, I hit the RIAs. I made a scouting adventure down there, and I made my scouting, I made phone calls to the RIAs, and I started talking to people. I started talking to people over the phone. Before I got down there, I had a real estate agent set up. I made sure the dates that I was down there were the dates of the real estate meetings that were coming up. And in the real estate meetings, I stood up and I said, I'm Sherri. I'm here to buy some houses. And I sat down and listened, told them what I was about. This is what I'm going to do. And it just started flowing, and we ended up flipping 2 houses. Yeah, I flipped 2 houses in New Mexico. And I enjoyed doing that. I like traveling. So I'd go back and forth, I'd be here for a couple of weeks, then I'd go down there and work and oversee the properties for a couple of weeks, back and forth, back and forth. And as far as the out-of-state rentals we own, we met somebody in Azria that was rehabbing some properties in the Midwest. And he had put a management company on him. He had started the management company, because management companies are challenging, especially if they're out of state, because you can't see what's going on. All you see is the numbers. So this particular investor that was turning these properties had a number of properties himself in the same management company. So he flipped them, sold them, and he owned the management company himself. So that's why we have 13 of them out of state, and they're doing well. they're doing pretty well. They were around anywhere from 45 to 58,000 a property, so about 50,000 each average. And the rents, I'd say about $800 a month, 800 to anywhere from $750 to $1,000 a month is what the rents are. More going into the 800. So that was a really good return on investment on those.
Yeah, that's so cool. So if you were to put together a team, you have your realtor, your management, what are the players in that team, and how did you end up building that? Or do you have a consistent team?
For here or for there?
For out of state, yeah.
Oh, for out of state, that team was already set up with that investor.
Oh, okay.
He had that whole package. That's why we did it that way.
Got it.
Because the whole package was set up. Here, and the team players change constantly. They do. Because contractors change and whatever they change. But I keep on adding to them. And when you're hanging out with your like-minded people, your friends, your fellow investors, hey, who are you using? Who are you using for this? Who are you using for that? And you just kind of gather them along the way.
Yeah. Do you think that as far as where you're investing your money, it seems like there's just too much opportunity in real estate if you know what you're doing? Do you still invest in things like the stock market, or you mentioned crowdfunding, but that's kind of real estate still, or is it just real estate?
Actually, we're just doing real estate.
Yeah.
We're just doing real estate. We do, when we're working jobs, I'm not working a W-2 job anymore, but Paul is, he makes sure make sure to put the max amount that is matched in his 401k. Because when he leaves that job, that's free money. As a matter of fact, he's changed jobs one time because he wasn't looking for a job, and a different job. He had been with this company for a couple of years, and one of his buddies came to him and said, "Hey, why don't you come work at this company, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to worry about changing. And then we took a look at it and I said, "Hey, Paul, do you realize that if you switch companies, you could get your money out of your 401k and we can buy another property in the Midwest?" He turned in his 2 weeks notice. So yeah, so we do use, the 401ks and stuff like that with our, then they're invested in the stock market, whatever they do with the 401k money. But yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any just in general personal finance tips like that people need to get in a row before they even think about investing other things like building your credit or certain investment accounts? Do you have any advice of where someone might look for that type of thing?
Well, find out what your expenses are. You need to know where your money's going. You need to know where your money's going, where it's coming from. How much are you paying for your cable? How much are you paying for all your services, Netflix, blah, blah. Can you get them any cheaper? Do you need the Lexus right now? Or can you live with a Toyota? That's $300 less a month. Those type of things. House hacking, like what we're doing with our house. That, pretty much covers the income that we're getting for it covers our mortgage on our house. So, we didn't plan it that way. It just happened that way. But, doing those type of things, really, just really watching where your money comes from. Most people in the middle class, it's like they make more money, they spend more money. They make more money, they get bigger debt, to play the cash flow game and read Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow books, and you'll learn all about that type of thinking, Rich Dad, Poor Dad books.
Yeah, that's great. And I think there's just such a gap in knowledge for most people that with finance and things, managing money, because you don't learn it in school. It's not really covered. You just get thrown out there and you start seeing what everyone else does, which is what they weren't taught. And then you get in, that's like you were saying, the rat race of, not necessarily even their fault, but you got to take the initiative to go and learn some of this stuff and do what you've done. So that's great.
I do have one other tip for a new investor.
Oh yeah.
And that is, I was talking to another investor friend, actually my realtor down in Tucson, and they own a lot of properties also. They have about 20 some down there. And we both were talking the other day, and we said if we had to do it all over again from the start, we would go in incognito, meaning they don't know who owns the property and your personal address. And it's just, and there's ways to do that through your LLCs. You have trusts, be members of the LLCs. Then they can't track you, because if you get a tenant that's not quite happy with you sometime, you really don't want them showing up at your front door.
Yeah. And then even it doesn't have to be as personal if you're raising the rent or something like that too.
Right.
If they're not.
Yeah.
Sure,
and and now we're too far into it that we can't go in incognito anymore. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, it would be, she and I both agreed we'd go incognito. As a matter of fact, we've got an investor friend out of state that we've done some investing with, and they have some prominent positions in the city, and I understand now why they went totally incognito with their stuff too.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Cool. What are some of your goals for like big picture? Where do you see all of this leading to in real estate or just business in general?
Well, we're retiring this year.
Yeah.
Well, not from our business, but we're retiring, and we're switching. I think we're going to switch from rentals to, we're going to start dabbling into notes now. It's pretty hands off. You're not getting the call, the AC didn't die in July when you're on vacation. What do you do when you can't get an AC guy out there for 3 days in Phoenix? That type of thing. So yeah, I think we're gonna start going into notes probably now, or I don't know. We'll see what I've got to let these last 2 deals settle, and there's always something. I mean, it's like going to a card game. You just never know what you're going to get dealt. It's really a lot of fun. So you just keep going to all the meetings and keep learning more and more and more.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to watch you guys and see where everything goes and continue to learn. The last couple questions I always like to ask is, what's your favorite book or a book related to real estate investing that you'd recommend?
Well, the Rich Dad Poor Dad books.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Those are really good. Yeah, that's really what started us.
Okay, so yeah, pretty much all his books. He's got a lot of good ones, right? I think I've read Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad. There's probably more.
And the game is really a lot of fun too.
Okay, cool. And then last one being, because this is a Get Wealth podcast, what's your definition of wealth?
Financial freedom, win-win, being fair, because I feel like what you put out is what you're going to get. I don't want to be an unsavory, unethical landlord. I want to be honest and fair on both sides. There's times that I have to put my foot down and say, you didn't pay the rent. I'm sorry, you got to move. But that, just to be honest, ethical, fair, and being free from having to go to work every day. I don't want to be 70 years old and having to work a job, just to, pay for my medicine. I don't want that to happen, so just the financial freedom of it all.
Yeah, that's great. I like that definition a lot. I think there's a lot that people can learn from what you've talked about today, and definitely seems like you guys are on the right track, and I'm excited to learn from the successes you have in the future and as you get into new investments. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast today. It's been fun.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, and I hope to do a deal with you soon.
Yeah, I know. That'd be awesome. All righty. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sherri Balyoz.
Thank you.
Get wealthy.